Well, hi, folks. This is Barrett Peterson. We've just begun the telephone calling for the telephone town hall. We're starting a couple minutes late because our technology here at the village is not working properly. But we are waiting for a larger number of people to join us before I start the presentation tonight. And if you're joining us, well, we've got two people on the conference now. This is Barrett Peterson, the mayor of Franklin Park. We're going to begin our telephone town hall in a couple minutes here. If at any time you have a question about anything in the village, whether it's taxes or flooding or train noise or tree pickup or yard waste or garbage or water rates, just dial 0 and you can ask a question. In fact, if you already know that you have a question for me, press 0, and we were going to take as many phone calls as we can tonight. This is Barrett Peterson. We're going to be starting our telephone town hall in just a minute after everybody's phone numbers have been dialed. And if you would like to ask a question about anything in the village, press 0, and we'll take as many phone calls as we can tonight. I'm going to be talking a little bit about Railroad Days and our Citizen Advisory Council. But if you have any question at all, this is a good time for you to press 0. And we'll talk about taxes and flooding and road repairs and flood insurance or anything else you want to talk about tonight. Just press 0. My name is Barrett Peterson, and you've joined us now with the telephone town hall for the Village of Franklin Park. And I want to welcome you. Now that it's summer, or at least summer is almost here, I want to remind you about some of the exciting events coming up in Franklin Park this summer. I'll briefly mention a few other items. I hope that you're all planning on attending our annual Railroad Days Festival, and that's scheduled for June 12th through the 15th. It is a great family-focused, fun-filled tradition in Franklin Park, and we will have a daily carnival again this year. And this year we are thrilled to be adding a jazz night on Thursday, and it will feature the Hester Middle School Wildcats Jazz Ensemble. So that's a local group right here at our Hester School from District 84. We're going to have the Chicago Skyliners Big Band, and we're going to have Chevrolet, a high-voltage Latin and blues jazz band. And so we're looking forward to seeing you there. If you have a question, press 0. And for Railroad Days, we're looking for volunteers to help on Saturday, June 14th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. during the train viewing. We will be featuring dozens of trains that afternoon and need volunteers to assist with the walk-on displays. There's a couple of platforms to help people get on and off, but a lot of these trains are difficult to get on and off, and we are required to have volunteers helping people get off and on. And if you volunteer, it's a great way to meet new friends, and all the volunteers will receive a Railroad Day T-shirt and other fun giveaways. Now, the T-shirt is going to say Milwaukee Road and with the old emblem on it. And as many of you know, Milwaukee Road was the railroad that went through Franklin Park for many, many years, probably 100 years maybe, before it became the Canadian Pacific. And if you want more information on volunteering, call the village and ask for Pam. And if you've got a pencil and paper ready, I'll give you a phone number. It's 847-671-8258, or just call the village and ask for Pam. There's only one Pam here. And you can also access a complete schedule of the events for Railroad Days on our website. And as many of you know, our website is V as in village, O, F as in Franklin, P as in park.com. So it's pretty easy, VOFP.com. And I hope to see you there. And why don't we start with our first question. The question number 1 is, are you and or your family planning on attending Railroad Days June 12th through the 15th? Now, that's just one of those days. It doesn't mean you're going to attend all of them. So if you're planning on attending Railroad Days one of the days between June 12th and June 15th, push number 1 for yes, I will attend. On your touch-tone phone, push number 2 for no, I will not attend, and push 3 for not sure. So let me give you that one more time. Are you or your family planning on attending Railroad Days one of the 4 days, June 12th 13th, 14th, or 15th. Push number 1 for yes, I will attend. Push number 2, no, I will not attend. And push number 3, not sure. And it looks like about 54% of the respondents indicated that they would be coming, and about 20% aren't sure. So maybe we can convince you by the end of the phone call. If you would like to ask a question, this is a great time for you to press 0. Anytime you have a question, you can press 0. We want to hear your questions tonight. If you have a question about taxes, trains, road repairs, flooding, flood insurance, or anything else regarding the village, just press 0. And then Mark, you wanted to ask a question about speed bumps near East Leyden. Mark, you're on the line. Go ahead.
Yes, I was wondering, is there any talks about putting maybe speed bumps behind East Leyden? I know there's a lot of children that play back there, and a lot of cars seem to really speed behind East Leyden. So I think it's a request. Thank you.
Yep, Mark, that's a good question. We get those types of questions all the time. And I can probably get you one of the studies that shows it actually doesn't slow people down. What they do is they speed up, and then when they get to the speed bump, they slow down, and then they immediately speed up again. So it's for about 10 feet that they slow down, and the rest of it, it actually exceeds the speed. And then there are also accident reports that occur when people hit those things at a high rate of speed. They will flip over, and they cause a great deal amount of damage to the snowplows. And so speed bumps are actually counterproductive. They don't slow traffic down as they're intended, but we do get that question from time to time. And then Mr. Mazalski, Joseph Mazalski, had a question about the sewer insurance.
Yes, I get these letters, and I already paid a whole year's payment for, 2 different companies that applied to me. And my wife gave me one, and I paid that one, but she told me this is for the water pipe. So I just paid it, but then when they send me these replies back that it's only for the sewer, and I know you're going to be doing repairs on my streets, am I doing wrong, or I just don't understand anymore?
No, Joseph, that's an excellent question. I'm sorry for the confusion. The village is working with utility service partners. If you get a solicitation from another company, make sure you call the village. It's probably not one that the village endorses. And in fact, we got the company through the National League of Cities because this company was fully vetted and researched and investigated. And you asked about the sewer and the water. There are 2 different policies. The superintendent of water and sewer highly recommends the sewer because the policy covers all types of blockages, and they'll even pay for repair. So if you need to call a plumber to come out, there's no charge to you, and the plumber will come out within an hour of the call. The company is, we've received dozens of, or at least a dozen of positive testimonials from people who have used it. And he also recommends the water, but the sewer is the most important one. And if you've got repairs going on in the street, I don't think that that's going to adversely affect damages or responsibility in your part. But we do partner with utility service partners. If you need more information, call the village, call 847-671-8252 and leave a message for Cindy. Cindy gets a couple hundred phone calls a day, but she always returns a phone call. So if you ever get an answer machine, make sure you leave the message. So great question, Joe. And Greg, you wanted to know about the safety of the tanker trains coming through town. That's an excellent question. Go ahead, Greg.
Yes, I noticed that in the last 5 years there's been way more trains coming through town, and then I saw a story that they were way more oil tankers going, 8 cars going across the country, and it's like 40 times as much as there was 5 years ago, and then 9 is more, and the oil is more dangerous, more toxic, more flammable. So I wonder if we're, how safe we are because we all live close to the train tracks.
Yeah, good question, Greg. The mayor of Aurora, Tom Weisner, was instrumental in getting a number of municipalities, including Franklin Park, to sign on to a proposed piece of legislation at the federal level that would require the retrofitting of these tanker cars. I think anywhere between 10 and 20% of them are the newer tanker cars that are much safer and impervious to the types of explosions that you might have seen up in Canada that wiped out, I think it killed 40 people up there. And we have quite a few of these tankers coming through Franklin Park. I'm not sure how many of them are filled with oil, but I do know some of the oil from North Dakota is coming through here. And because of this issue, I requested an appointment to the National League of Cities Transportation Infrastructure and Services Committee, and I now serve on the National League of Cities Committee on Transportation Infrastructure and Services, and we are a lobbying arm that speaks with legislators and urges them to pass this legislation. So, Greg, you're right on with that one. Thank you for bringing that to attention, because I wouldn't have remembered to tell people that. And then Dolores wanted to ask a question about Panoramic Drive and about the work that's being done.
Yes, they've finished the work across the street from us. I'm on the last street on the north side of Franklin Park, and right across the street is Schiller Park. And they've just finished, and I would like to know if that's taken us out of the flood zone or if we're still into the flood zone. It's the work from the deep tunnel.
Yep. It's actually a separate project from the deep tunnel. It is the Crystal Creek project that the Village of Franklin Park partnered with the Village of Schiller Park and the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. Its intention is to improve stormwater management for that area, and the modeling done prior to the beginning of that project was to remove significant numbers of those homes in the special flood hazard area there that now are required to buy flood insurance. Now that the project is coming to a close, what they will do is the engineers will remodel it. In other words, they will look at what was done and then test it in a mathematical computation to determine that it does provide the stormwater benefits that we had anticipated. My understanding is that takes 6 months to 9 months. And then at the end of that process, if they determine that it does, there will be a joint application from the Village of Schiller Park, the Village of Franklin Park, and the Illinois Department of Natural Resources to FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, to redraw the floodplain maps in that area. And the goal, hopefully and optimistically, is to remove significant numbers of homes up in that area from the floodplain and relieve them of the responsibility of having to pay for that costly flood insurance. So we're going to go to question number 2. If you're waiting to ask a question, hold on, don't hang up. Question number 2 about railroad days. If you have attended railroad days in the past, what is your favorite part? Push number 1 for train displays. Push number 2 for food vendors. Push number 3 for musical entertainment. And push number 4 for carnival. And the reason we're asking that is we sort of want to see what parts are the most desirable to our residents. So if you've attended railroad days in the past, any of them, just one of them, what is your favorite part? Push 1 for train displays. Push 2 for food vendors. Push 3 for musical entertainment. And push number 4 for the carnival. And it looks like train displays are about 50%. Food vendors is only 8%. Musical entertainment is about 33%. And carnivals about 13%. So that was pretty good. And then I also wanted to talk to you about the Citizen Advisory Council. We'd like any of you who are interested to be a part of our Citizen Advisory Committee on Infrastructure and Water and Sewer Rates. If you're interested, that's what streets are going to be done first, which water mains are going to be done, which sewers are going to be rebuilt. As you know, our water and sewer pipes are 74 years old on average, and we're looking for people to help us identify the priorities and also take a look at our water and sewer rates and make sure that they fit in with what our actual expenses are. If you're interested, call the comptroller's office at 671-8224 or just call the village and ask for Ron. And then let's take another question because we've got some good questions. Let's see. Oh, Carmen Mendez wanted to talk about the increases in flood insurance.
Yes.
Go ahead, Carmen.
Good evening. Thank you for taking my call. First, a statement and then a question. My flood insurance, I was very shocked and appalled to open my flood insurance bill and find that it had gone up 39% from last year's bill. Imagine my surprise. The burden is tremendous, and then to get hit with a 39% increase from one year to the next, it's really making me question whether I need to move out of the area. I'm wondering, yourself and all your colleagues that you network with, I know that you have a wonderful network of politicians that you deal with. Is there any hope or any legislature that anybody's working on to put a cap to protect the consumers so that they can't raise it up 39% in 1 year? I mean, if FEMA decides, okay, guess what, you're going to have to pay us $10,000, we don't have a say in it, and I just don't understand it. I could understand it going up 5 or 10% in 1 year, but 39% to people who can't afford it to begin with, it's a tremendous burden, and I'm wondering who's protecting us. How?
Yep. Yeah, great question, Carmen. I've got good news and some not so good news. The good news is that they did pass a piece of legislation modifying the Bigger Waters Act, and so let me back up a little bit. In 2010, Congressman Judy Biggert from Hinsdale, she's no longer a congresswoman, and Maxine Waters from California were concerned because the National Flood Insurance Fund or Storm Fund, FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency Fund, was being depleted because storms are intensifying because of climate change, global warming, and they depleted a large amount of the funds, especially with the Sandy storm on the northeast. So in New York, Connecticut, and all those different places that were affected by the Sandy superstorm, where the people that are paying flood insurance are actually paying to have those homes elevated and rebuilt, which I think is kind of unfair. And what happened is they eliminated the caps that were on the flood insurance in this area. And so they were expecting rates to go up quite significantly, even higher than they already did, Carmen. And a number of congressmen and senators were very alarmed by the dramatic increase because what it actually did is it's making it more difficult for people to be able to stay in their homes. And like you're thinking maybe I should buy a house outside of the floodplain. So they passed legislation, and I want to give some credit to Congressman Lou Barletta, who's actually a former mayor from a town of Pennsylvania, who was a ramrod or a spearhead for this. The good news is they put a temporary moratorium on any further increases, but they gave FEMA the assignment of studying the effects of these large increases, and then asked them to come back and report on it in 2 years, or maybe 3 years it is, however long it takes us to do the study. But what I wish they would have done was took a formal action to completely stop it, and what they did is they just indicated that the increases in these premiums would be delayed for 2 or 3 years until the end of the study that FEMA and the Army Corps of Engineers does. So I wish there was better news, but I would urge you to talk to Shauna, who is one of our village engineers, and Shauna can be reached at 671-8304, and she'll be able to give you much more information and probably much more technically accurate than I can give you. But we hear a lot about that, and I certainly spent quite a bit of time when I was in Washington, D.C., talking with both Senators Kirk and Durbin and our Congressman Mike Quigley about this issue, because I think we need somebody that is going to be doing something about that. And then Tom Kane had a question about the road repair in the industrial area, and I know that Tom Kane is probably talking about the Medill and the 17th Avenue area. Go ahead, Tom.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity. The Medill Street has been bad for quite a few years, and really bad. And I thought it was on the list for to repave it. But I think when I checked last time, it wasn't on the list anymore. Do you know what the chances are of getting that Medill Street something done over there to because it's in such bad shape?
Sure, Tom. Yeah, thanks, and thanks for owning a business in town. Tom is talking about the industrial area at the southeast corner of Franklin Park, south of Fullerton Avenue. I don't know that Medill was ever on a list. We talked to Hancock Engineering, which does engineering for River Grove, and asked them to submit a proposal, a feasibility study for that area. The roads not only have to be repaired in that area. Medill and 17th was resurfaced, but you also have a flooding issue in that area. And so what we want to do is make sure that we have a comprehensive approach to that. And the water has to go through another town, and that's why we picked Hancock. I don't have a specific date, but I do know that we're looking into that, and we will be holding a meeting within the next 3 or 4 months with the business owners in that area. So thanks, Tom. And then Bruce Wachorkowitz wanted to ask a question about the Williams Reservoir.
Hello, Mr. Mayor. I see that work is being done over on the Williams Reservoir to control some of the flooding. I'd just like to know, what is the extent of the work that's going to be done, and how do you think it's going to affect the flood conditions out this way?
Well, there's a couple of aspects to that, Bruce. One of the things is the southeast corner of the Williams Retention Basin. For those of you not familiar with this is behind the Savers and Big Lots, or many people may know it as the old Kmart. Behind there's a great big huge retention basin. The southeast corner settled below the engineering design of it, and so the work that they're doing on the southeast corner is to make sure that if the retention basin overflows, it will overflow into the Ware. The Ware is what's connected to Silver Creek, and it won't go over the southeast corner and down West Manor Drive. That's one part of it. Another part is we're going to be improving the stream bed for Silver Creek from the retention basin all the way to Scott Street, and so it's going to be made larger. It won't be any deeper, but it's going to be made square instead of round, and it will hold more capacity, and that will move more water and more efficiently without it going on to West Manor. It is not going to solve all problems because, as many people know, the storms that we're experiencing are becoming much more intense than they ever were, and the climatologists have been predicting that the number of these superstorms is going to be increasing too. So don't look for any quick solutions on the storm water or flooding, but that will have a benefit for the storms that we've had in the past. But as I indicated, because of climate change and global warming, you are seeing a much higher level of these superstorms, and you're going to see them more frequently. So thanks, Bruce. Oh, and then I might as well mention we're also doing work just west of Scott on Westbrook, Herrick, Hawthorne, where we're separating the sewers, which will hold more water, which means less stormwater will be going into Silver Creek, and the roads are being repaired there, and so are the service lines to the sewer and the water. So great question. If you want to ask a question, press 0 because we're interested in hearing what you have to say. Darlene Brown wanted to talk about the Sexton property. Darlene, you still with us? Go ahead.
Oh, yes. Hi, Mr. Mayor. I was wondering about this Sexton property here and this creek that they're working on. There's water sitting in here all the time. I don't see anybody working for a long time. The street is horrible to get down. It's dug out, and I guess we had some water pipe that had to be fixed, but they left a big, deep hole there. And I'm just wondering when this is going to get fixed up a little bit.
Sure. Darlene, I can answer that question specifically through the engineer. I do know that the street repair is being coordinated with Schiller Park. Dora, which is a north-south street, is when it gets into Schiller Park, it's called Denley. And I do know that the engineers spoke last week about resurfacing both Dora and Denley in that area. A more long-term solution has to be done for Panoramic. We're hoping at some point in time that we can widen that. And then the work, I believe, is coming to a conclusion, but I'll have to find out exactly about what is further left to be done. I've been told that there won't be sitting water, that they're still doing tinkering and adjustments with some of the water flows. But I highly recommend, Darlene, that you call 847-671-8304 and talk to Shauna or Dave, one of our village engineers, and they'll be able to tell you the exact status of the Sexton property project. And let me go to some of the other further information that I forgot to give you. Don't forget the Village Hall will be closed on Monday, May 26th for Memorial Day, but you should plan to attend our annual observance co-sponsored with the American Legion Post 974 at 11 a.m. At the Veterans Memorial. So that's on the same day, Monday, May 26th, at the Veterans Memorial here on Belmont next to the Village Hall. American Legion Post 974 in the village are, as they do twice a year, have scheduled the observance of Memorial Day. If you'd like to ask a question, press 0 about anything while I'm talking here, so don't forget to press 0. We're in the process of finalizing our budget for the next year. We've held several budget hearings where line item by line item is going over, and folks don't show up for this, and I keep on saying this is the perfect time for you to have input into how the village spends its funds and to see exactly how much is being spent in each line item. So I always welcome you to attend those budget meetings and help us determine what our priorities should be. As always, we welcome your input on this matter and invite you to please get in touch with our village comptroller. You can contact them via email or call at 671-8224 with your questions or concerns on the budget. And then let me also tell you about the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. We call it the MWRD. The MWRD has stormwater management for all of Cook County. And they recently passed an ordinance requiring that all properties in a floodplain or a floodway have a permit from the MWRD in order to complete any type of development on the exterior of your home. So whether you're putting flower boxes in or a pool or you're expanding or you're putting a garage in or you're changing anything in the exterior, you have to get a permit from the MWRD through the village. This is not the village. The MWRD, Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, passed this. And the permit must also include any elevation survey and documents indicating compliance by a licensed engineer. The permits takes a minimum of 3 to 4 weeks, unfortunately, to process, and there is a fee required that the MWRD charges. The types of developments included are home addition, deck or patio installations, garage expansions, and additionally, if you reside outside the floodplain, you may be required to have an MWRD permit if your projected development is over half an acre. If you have any questions, you can call the MWRD at 312-751-3255, and we will also have links up on our website. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about the village is part of the West Central Municipal Conference, along with about 42 other communities. And every year they give out a Green Intelligence Award for that community that has made the most progress in sustainability. And the West Central Municipal Conference chose Franklin Park as the recipient this year. We're very proud of that. There was a meeting held last Friday night at the Rosemont Convention Center. And Governor Quinn found out that we were having a meeting and that the village was getting this award. And Governor Quinn came out personally and gave us the award and thanked us for the efforts that we made in making sustainability a priority of the village. The Green Intelligence Award is a testament not only to the dedication of village government, but also to our residents and businesses who have worked with us to embrace sustainability. And while we've accomplished much in Franklin Park, including achieving a LEED Gold status for our new police station by the U.S. Green Building Council, and incorporating natural lawn care on the village property, but this is only the beginning. Franklin Park is committed to being an energy-efficient, sustainable community that inspires other communities to incorporate environmentally friendly practices. And while I'm on this topic, I want to state that there is a concrete evidence and hard data that climate change is real, and I believe we'll face far more environmental challenges in the near future. We just had the hottest decade on record, and as severe weather continues, we'll see more droughts, more superstorms, more flooding, and more wildfires as you're seeing out west now. We have the opportunity and the obligation to make our communities more resistant to these dramatic changes and to curb and end the practices that are devastating our planet. And we can work to reduce the amount of greenhouse gases we put into the environment by reducing driving time, driving a more energy-efficient vehicle, turning off lights, getting more energy-efficient appliances, simple steps like reducing our energy consumption, and as I indicated, by turning off lights will help. I'm going to ask another question here. This is question number 3. Would you be interested in receiving more information on climate change and what you can do about it? Push number 1 for yes, I would like to learn more. Push number 2 for no, I am not interested. And if you have no opinion at all, you can press 3. So if you're interested in receiving more information on climate change and what you can do about it, push number 1 for yes, I would like to learn more. Push number 2, no, I'm not interested. And push number 3 for no opinion. And so far we've got about 60% would like more information, 14% still they're not interested, and 29% have no opinion. And I thought it might be helpful if I give you a little analogy. Think of yourself as being having this ailment. You have a physical ailment, an illness, and it's a special one, and your doctor has referred you to 100 physicians, and they're experts in this field. And they read all your tests, and they give you a physical examination, and at the end of it, 98 out of the 100 have determined what your ailment is, and 98 out of the 100 have told you what type of action you need to take in order to get well. And you have 2 doctors that disagree with the 98. Which one would you listen to? Would you listen to the 98, or would you listen to the 2 doctors that disagree with the 98? 98% of all the climatologists in the United States believe that humans are causing climate change by emitting greenhouse gases and warming the climate. And 98% of them have indicated that we need to reduce the greenhouse gases that we emit in order to stop the trend that we are on towards more storms, and more storms mean more money. This last year we had a phenomenally heavy winter. Estimates are it cost the village about $1 million, about $300,000 or $500,000 in direct costs, and about $400,000 to $500,000 in damage to our streets and our equipment. And we need to do something about it. Last April, we had one of the largest rainfalls on record, and these storms are going to be continuing. And here's another way that you can help sustain our community and save money. When you throw grass clippings or leaves in the yard waste bags, it is sent to a location using diesel-fueled vehicle that pollutes the air, and they put it in a landfill where it takes up space and produces methane gas, which contributes to global climate change. I highly recommend that you start your own compost pile. The village pays approximately $150,000 a year to have the grass clippings and leaves transported to a composting site. And I hear people talk about they want smaller government, and yet they'll plant a grass that requires a large amount of maintenance. They'll cut the grass and they'll put it in a bag and then stick it out at the alley and expect the government to pick it up. And we'll continue to pick it up if you want us to. But if you want to make a smaller government, create a composting pile, and there's several people in town that will help you do it. Just give us a call. We'd be pleased to help you. It's much more economical, and it's an environmentally friendly option. And if you start composting in your backyard today, I'll come over and take a picture of it with you and give you all the publicity if you want. If you don't want a picture, we won't. Grass cycling is a simple method for recycling your yard waste. When you mow your lawn, use a mulching mower without a bag that leaves grass clippings where they fall and allows them to decompose. The grass clippings return nutrients to your yard, and you and the village don't have to spend time and money bagging or hauling them away. Not only that, but if you mulch it and leave the grass clippings on the lawn, it will create your own fertilizer, and you'll have to spend a lot less money going out and buying these artificial fertilizers that often cause more environmental damage. So we've got time for a couple more questions. If you want to press 0. Ed, you've got a question about a comment letter?
Yes, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead, Ed.
Okay, my question is, approximately a year ago, the village looked for a supplier for our electric, which was Integra. As of June 11th of this year, it will be up and it will be no longer our supplier. Seeing that ComEd is going to raise our rates 33%, I mean, according to this letter, it's going to go back to ComEd. Is the village looking for a different supplier, or what is the situation?
Oh, Ed, that's an excellent question. A lot of people got those letters. I got one today. They're poorly written. Here's what happens. We did go with Integris, and the ratepayers in Illinois saved about $760,000. So that's 760 with 3 zeros after it. $760,000 over the period that we were with Integris. But because a large number of fluctuations have occurred in the utility industry, what you saw was higher natural gas prices in their short-term increases. But unfortunately, those short-term increases happened at a time when new rates are coming out. So we've temporarily gone to ComEd for 2 billing cycles, and if the rates come down with another company outside of ComEd, we will go with that company under the village aggregation. And if the rates for the other suppliers out there don't come down, then we'll stay with ComEd for probably another 10 months. And then next spring, when new rates are available, we'll be able to go with another outside company. And when we went into this aggregation, we knew that for a short period of time, the outlying suppliers, not ComEd, were going to do much better at rates than ComEd. And we knew that at the end of this, at the end of that term, or right about now, that they would start leveling out, because some of the long-term contracts that ComEd had that were much higher than the market was giving were expiring, and then ComEd was going to become much more competitive. So we're with ComEd temporarily for 2 billing cycles. At the end of those 2 billing cycles, if the rates from these outside suppliers aren't any better, then we would stay with ComEd for another 10 months. If they are better, then we're going to go out, and we may go back with Integris or Blue Energy or some of those other names out there, whoever has the best rate. Okay? So that was a good question. Ed, if you have anybody else got those ComEd letters and it's confusing, and I wish they would have written that letter better, but we've gotten quite a number of phone calls today on that. Direct them to our village engineer, Dave Talbot, and again, his phone number is 671-8304. If you think that my explanation has satisfied you, then Dave would appreciate not everybody calling at one time, because I think he got probably 20 or 30 phone calls today. And then, Mr. Patel, you wanted to ask a question about flood rates?
Yes.
Oh, okay. If you'd like to ask a question, press 0. Oh, Tom Brown, you're on the line. Go ahead. Tom, go ahead. You're on the line.
Hello.
Hey, Tom, go ahead. You're on the line.
Yes, can you hear me, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my concern was with the freight trains that seem to be blocking the crossings here, north and south, throughout Franklin Park for extended periods of time, sometimes for as long as 30 minutes during the day. As a bus driver for the school districts here, I find that this many times causes a delay getting the children to and from school in a timely fashion. And it seems like this has been occurring within the last year or so, that the freight traffic seems to have increased considerably, and for some unexplained reason, they seem to be stopping for extended periods of time in the village. So what Canadian National is doing to the viability of Franklin Park with this practice?
Yeah, good point, Tom. And just to be accurate, it's Canadian Pacific that is east-west, and they're the biggest perpetrator. As some of you may know, the state had a statute that allowed trains to block the crossing for as long as they wanted, so long as the train was moving. And once the train stopped, they had 10 minutes to clear all crossing. It was a piece of litigation, in other words, a lawsuit filed by the railroad. And ultimately, the Illinois Supreme Court found that the federal government preempted state and local law, and that law was unconstitutional. And I have been lobbying Senators Kirk and Durbin and our Congressman Mike Quigley to pass legislation. I don't think that that type of legislation will get out of the House of Representatives. The Senate would probably consider that, but the House doesn't want any further regulation on any industry, any place in the United States. So I had a conversation with Canadian Pacific because we had a real problem. We had high school students, when a train would be stopped at, say, 7:30 in the morning when they're on their way to school, we had high school students that were crawling under and crawling over the trains, and we put a camera on the railroad lines, and we took pictures, and we submitted them to the Canadian Pacific and to the Federal Railroad Administration and to Metro, who controls signalization. And Canadian Pacific has improved somewhat. They don't pull trains out anymore for the period of time, I would say, between 7:15, maybe 7:20, and 7:40, 7:45. I've noticed a difference because my son travels from the south side of the town to the north side to where Leiden is, and I'm hoping that we can continue that. Long-term objective is to put an underpass in, and I'd like to be able to connect Belmont Avenue. This isn't something that's going to happen soon, and we'd be relying on a large amount of funds from the federal government and the state government and other planning agencies. But what I'd like to do is where Belmont Avenue ends at 25th, I'd like to continue, but it would go underneath and come back up where the post office is, so that anybody who wanted to get from the north to the south would be able to walk or drive under the railroad pass. But Tom, you hit it right on the nose that this is creating a safety hazard for our children, and I don't think it's acceptable. And that's why my position on the National League of Cities Committee for Transportation Infrastructure and Services, I think will help, because it'll help us identify funds, and it'll help us understand the best way to sell the importance of this project. And we're going to continue to videotape this so that we have the evidence of traffic being snarled, children crawling under these trains. We were so alarmed that we had the Canadian Pacific go out to Leiden High School, District 212, and they had a video that was pretty graphic, I'm being told, that showed children what can happen if you crawl under a train or crawl over a train and you get hurt or you get killed. This is something I'm very concerned about, and I'd be pleased to hear any other comments. The best thing to do is for anybody who's concerned about this and wants to help, write a letter to Mike Quigley, write a letter to Senator Kirk, write a letter to Senator Durbin, and write a letter to Joe Szabo, who is the Federal Railroad Administrator. Joe actually was a former mayor of Riverdale, Illinois, that has several railroads going through it and had similar problems with railroad crossings there. And so he gets it. He's kind of waiting because he can't do anything without the House of Representatives taking action on this. But I'm certainly willing to push this, and certainly hope that you can support me in my efforts to get some sort of a resolution to this. We're nearing the end of our time. I want to thank those of you who were on. I think at one time we had 818 people. About 1,766 messages were left. And I want to thank you for participating. Remember that there is a mobile phone number that you can call in. We're only allowed by law to call land-based numbers for these telephone town halls. So if you know somebody who doesn't have a land-based number and they have a cell phone, they can participate, but they would have to call in, and it's a toll-free call. You can call the village and get that phone number, or read in the newsletter. It's always in the newsletter right before we do a telephone town hall. So thank you very much. I'm honored and pleased to be your mayor. It's one of the most fulfilling jobs I've ever had. I spend about 60 hours a week here, and I love it. So if you have a question or a problem, don't hesitate to email or call. We're eager to help you, and we want to make Franklin Park a better place. As many of you know, I was born and raised here and went to local schools and became an Eagle Scout and went into the Air Force and came back to Franklin Park because Franklin Park is the greatest place in the world. Thank you.